Today on My Property Secret we have Chartered Surveyor Paul Higgs, who's both a planner and a development surveyor with 30 years experience in development. He's won an Evening Standard Award in 2013 for a penthouse in Clerkenwell.
So we converted an office building, we refurbished 2/3 of it and sold them on as office space, converted some of the upper floors to residential and put a new penthouse on the roof. It was a new penthouse that won the award for Best Apartment.
So welcome Paul to the show, and thank you very much for coming.
Alex.
And I remember you telling me a story the other day about how you'd always wanted to be a property developer. And of course, most people that I come across in my profession as an architect fall into property development.
Yeah.
They don't set out to be a property developer.
Yeah, so I say I've always wanted to be a property developer. I think I sort of consciously made the decision when I was 16. I grew up in a council house in a bit of an industrial bit of West London, you know, working class, all that type of stuff. I messed around at school, didn't want to do what I was told. So as a result, come school leaving time, because I got absolutely no qualifications, but I was always a grafter. I had a really good attitude. I always wanted to work, and went down the job centre. Saw this advert in the window for like building site labourer. I think it was 45 quid a week at the time. I thought, Jesus Christ, a lot of money. So anyway, went along to building site. Got myself a job on the building site. Literally the lowest of the low, 16-year-old labourer straight out of school. It was winter, freezing cold. All the bogs had frozen up, but of course you got 200 largely big hairy Irishmen working on the building site at the time, and you got to do what you got to do. So boiling water down the bogs, mask, goggles, rubber gloves, bit of reinforcing. I vaguely recall I had holes in my wellies. All of a sudden there's a big commotion. All my bosses and all the other guys start running around sort of panicking. Couple of Range Rovers pull into the gate, couple of guys get out, flash suits, go to the back, stick their wellies on, stick their hard hats on. My bosses all run over, get these umbrellas out, start walking around with these guys. These guys were like clearly the Mr. Bigs, really, really important. And that's when I worked out I wanted to be a property developer. So after cleaning the bogs.
And of course now you have Millbank Group and the Millbank Academy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Millbank Academy.
Okay, so I've got an award-winning property development company. My company's called Millbank Group. A few years ago we won the Evening Standard New Homes Awards on one of our developments. And now I teach other people to do what I've learned to do over the last 30 years. So I've got a thing called Millbank Land Academy, which is really designed to teach people how to develop property and in the right way, which is by creating and adding value rather than just focusing on what you can get out of it. When I first started out, I was very driven by money when I was a kid, because I thought money was the route to happiness. It's one of the reasons I got into property development, because I realised there was potentially a lot of money in it. Did get into property development, did very well, made a lot of money, didn't make me any happier. Lost a load of money with the RBS in the crash. That didn't make me any happier either. Made me a bit less happy, actually. So in order to make it more exciting and interesting again, I came up with the idea of working with other people, and in particular teaching other people what I'd learned over the last 20-25 years, so that they could become hopefully successful property developers, but importantly in the right way, rather than being the archetypal greedy property developer that's just looking to gain as much out of things. So I basically wanted to teach people how to do things the right way.
If you were going to offer a single piece of advice to would-be property developers, and you obviously meet quite a few through your academy, but if you took, say, out of the 100 things that you teach in some of your courses, and you distill it all the way down, one of your key pieces of advice would be?
The most important thing is in development now, there is a sort of bit of a buzzword going about, people talking about planning gain. So and like it's some clever strategy whereby you gain obviously lots of money by coming up with some clever planning permission and planning strategy. So absolutely, it is all about planning. Understanding planning inside out is the key. But I much prefer to think of it as creating and adding planning value. It's just when you think of it that way, it's just a much better thing. You know, if you're coming from anything with the attitude of gain, i.e., what can I get out of it, you know, things tend to not work so well. If you're coming at something with the attitude of how and where can I add value, then you know, you tend to be more successful and get a better result. Property development is pretty much one of the most creative things you can do, really. You know, the world around us effectively has been created by, you know, certainly in terms of the built environment, obviously, it's been created by property developers and architects. And one of the things I've sort of discovered, or believe anyway, is that you know, I think most really good property developers, you know, like design and probably really want to be architects. You know, they want to get good stuff created, and in my experience, actually, lots of architects I found actually want to be property developers because they've come to the conclusion that, you know, that is the way that you can get good stuff created. You know, otherwise you're just hanging around hoping for someone to come along to pay you to get one of your ideas off the drawing board. But if you're actually a property developer, you can you know, make it happen. One of my favourite buildings is it's an artist called Cesar Manrique in Lanzarote. He built quite an interesting thing, and largely underground house, sort of sculptured out of the volcanic rock. I like that a lot.
And then that leads into the question of who potentially your favourite architect is.
So again, lots of them. One of my favourites is probably Dave. Blimey, wrong name almost. I could say David Hockney. He's not fucking. He's not David Hockney. He's not a fucking architect, is he? You know, as I say, I really do like all sorts. Interestingly, although I love Gaudi, particularly his interiors. I also love John Pawson and his interiors, which couldn't be more different, really. I mean, I like straight lines as well as the curvy ones. So, you know, I like both Gaudi and Pawson for sort of opposite reasons, really.
Fantastic. Well, welcome and thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed that.